YouTube? Tire Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully you guys are doing well. In this one, we're covering the weekend forecast. Before I get into this one, hopefully you're hitting that like button, smashing that subscribe button, and obliterating that share button. But things are going to be interesting this weekend. Things are interesting actually a little bit right now. Not too much in the way of severe warnings, but the potential for severe storms do exist across the Oklahoma Panhandle, even parts of the Texas Panhandle, and even into southern and southwestern Kansas. Main threat with this today will be damaging wind. There is also a marginal hail threat, but the tornado threat as of right now is at less than 2%. We did, interestingly enough today, get an observed tornado over towards Montana, which I find interesting, but we've been having a lot of no tourist days that ended up dropping a few tornadoes in some odd places. That being said here, nothing to really worry about with tonight's outlook too much. Like I said, damaging winds seem to be a main threat, but these storms don't seem super organized at the moment, and it's going to be only for a small window of opportunity as far as severe potential is concerned. A real day of interest is actually tomorrow, where we have an enhanced risk. All three hazards are in play. We even have a 2% TOR risk, which I do think has the potential of being upgraded, especially over towards the Dallas Metro. And we could even see a potential extension of this 2% area, even just to the south of Norman here. We'll have to wait and see what tomorrow's outlook brings, but I do feel like there's a decent chance for an upgrade there. No guarantees, though. Main threat is wind and hail, wind being almost perfectly shaped with the enhanced risk here, and then we even have the hatched risk on the 30% area with hail. So we could be seeing hail well above 2 inches in diameter or more, along with 60 mile per hour plus winds and potentially a couple of tornadoes. But that's the outlook for tomorrow. Again, Dallas is in the crosshairs, particularly Waco, Austin, capital of Texas, by the way, and Houston even has gotten into it now. Earlier, Houston was mainly in the 5% area with the marginal risk, but now recently that's been extended. This also goes out as far east as Greenville, Mississippi, and Jackson as well. And the marginal risk even goes as far north as Omaha and even goes out as far east as New Orleans. So a lot of area to cover tomorrow as far as severe weather is concerned. We do intend to go live for it on this channel here, so hopefully you guys will be able to stop in for that and see what's going on here. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at day 3, because now we're actually starting to bring Dixie Alley back into the picture here. That Omega block has kept a lot of storms from going to the east, so as a result, it's been a lot quieter over here. There's been like a couple of storms throughout the month of May that have gone through this region. Nothing of major significance too much, but it looks like that is changing. This slight risk includes Little Rock, Memphis, Jackson, Nashville, Bowling Green, Evansville, and areas off to the areas off even towards Illinois and Indiana. Couldn't get that word out. But that being said, no hazard type to look at there. I'll lean more towards damaging winds and hail with this setup, but I'm not ruling out the chance for tornadoes. I think a 2% area wouldn't surprise me at all. But we'll have to see how that unfolds tomorrow morning. Probably do another update video then. That being said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the models here and go on from that point. For the rest of us that aren't expecting severe weather this weekend, it's going to be a pretty warm weekend across the board for a good portion of the U.S. here. Plenty of 80s and 90s throughout the day and into the evening tonight. Here is a look at the East Coast by morning. We're already starting to get those 70, 80 degree temperatures over towards the Gulf Coast, and that quickly expands through a large portion of the South here. Eastern half of the country looks really warm as we head into the afternoon for a lot of you guys. Out west, we're starting to cool off just a little bit here. We're starting to get into that classic negative PNA setup where the west is a little bit cooler, east is a bit warmer. It's not a super strong PNA at the moment, but it is expected to evolve over the course of the next couple weeks. But for this weekend, we can expect a cool down across the western half here. The eastern half, we're going to be warm this week, and there's a few areas over here that are going to be reaching into the triple digits, especially across the southern plains. So some pretty hot temperatures are expected here. Could even see a couple of records. I'm not too sure about the record history kept over here as far as temperatures are concerned in Texas. Got to do more looking around, some digging for that. But as a whole, though, things look like they're going to be pretty warm across the board anywhere east of the Rockies here. When we look at severe weather potential at the moment, looking at instability and lapse rates, some pretty impressive numbers are to be had here across the central plains in particular. I'm interested to see what Sunday looks like because I've yet to actually get a look at the Cape levels for that day. But not too much has really changed here. Target areas for me has been Texas in particular, but there's a nice little Cape nose over here towards Oklahoma City. I do think by this point, though, the damaging wind threat starts to take greater shape here versus the tornado threat. But as time goes on here, we go into Sunday, and we start to see that Cape really build up over towards Arkansas in particular. I'm not going to click any soundings tonight, but I may share one if it's alarming enough to give you an idea of what we could see on Sunday. That could be another day to go live depending on how parameters look. But as a whole, though, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty active week ahead here. So anywhere really, I would say, from the southern plains, even into Dixie Alley, even the Northeast possibly within the next week or so. And it's hard to keep up with all these areas here because things are constantly changing, but all throughout this region here, I'd be watching for the threat of severe weather of some sort over the next week. Yes, I know these exclamation points suck, but I'm just trying to get the point across. That being said here, that's what our instability looks like for storm potential. Doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to see severe weather, but nonetheless, definitely something to keep a close eye on. So here's our lapse rates. This is usually a good indicator for hail and also just supercell development as well, especially for tornadoes. We have some pretty good numbers over here. We got some 7s and 8s in the mix here, especially over towards Oklahoma. I'm thinking that mainly is going to be a hot spot for hail in particular as well outside of Texas. Of course, I think Texas is going to have the most intense weather, but nonetheless, when we go into Sunday, it's a pretty similar deal. It looks like Arkansas seems to be the hot spot here. And then we may even see a little secondary area develop over towards Mississippi here and parts of maybe even northeastern Texas. So a lot of stuff going on here. Let's finally go ahead and take a look at what the radar could look like. And then there's one other thing to talk about, and I'm pretty sure you know what that might be. So here is what we're looking like throughout the course of the weekend. Outside of the severe weather, there's not too much in the way of precipitation to be concerned with. No winter weather expected unless you may be towards like the top end of the mountains over here towards the Rockies. Even then, I'm pretty cynical as far as that's concerned, or pretty skeptical any sort of wintry precipitation chance. We're just not in season anymore. We're heading into summer, baby. But that being said here, pretty warm weekend, active severe weather. Some showers and thunderstorms are also possible towards the Ohio Valley. May even have to watch you guys early in the week next week for severe weather as well. So that being said, let's get into the elephant in the room, or what has been the elephant in the room. We've seen improvements with the smoke conditions over here towards the northeast here. There's still air quality alerts, and there's still code reds in effect. Nonetheless, though, we've seen a stark improvement in comparison to the last couple of days, where at one point air quality was at like a 403, which is unheard of to me. Anything that's over 100 is usually pretty bad. To think that we were 4 times over that is kind of alarming. That being said, though, let's go ahead and take a look at what our forecast will look like over the next couple of days as far as smoke density and the vertically integrated smoke. Over the course of the next few days here, we are expecting things to really improve across the region here. In fact, some of that really dense smoke that was there a couple of days ago over the northeast here started to move out. There's still more ongoing, but with the wind patterns starting to change here, we'll start to see that smoke pushing away from the northeast more so. We still have issues, but nothing near as bad. The wildfires are in Ottawa, which is around here, and this is where the smoke density is still going to be great. But across the northeast here, we may start to see some relief from that soon. There's a massive forest and wildfire situation ongoing in Canada, so there may be other parts of the country that could be dealing with some significant smoke issues as time goes on here. So we'll be trying to keep an eye on that as well. So if you happen to be in a situation like what happened with the New York, hopefully that isn't the case. Try to avoid being outside. Try to avoid long activities outdoors if they're even deemed absolutely necessary. If you have to go to the store, etc., it's understandable, but try not to really be outside if it's at all possible. But that's pretty much what we're looking like throughout the course of the weekend here on the HRRR. This is the only model that I have that actually will show me what any sort of fire weather looks like on a model run, so to speak. None of the other models have that right now. I can only go to 48 hours. But that being said here, we're a little bit behind, but as we look into the future here, it's pretty much the same thing with vertically integrated smoke. We're going to be seeing a major decrease here. There could be still some increased smoke across maybe parts of Vermont, Rhode Island, and some parts of Maine here. And then we're seeing an increase actually a little bit more over towards Minnesota here. So again, watch for the air quality over here in this region. We probably should be seeing improving conditions though across the northeast here. That's as far as this run goes, and that's as far as I can go as far as the smoke outlooks are concerned here. So if you happen to be in an air quality alert, make sure you're taking it seriously. Don't downplay it, because you can start to feel really unwell and uncomfortable if you end up outside and intaking all of that smoke and all of the stuff that comes with it. But that being said here, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and decimate the share button. We're on the road to 500 here. We just broke 400. Everyone that has helped us get to this point here on the channel, I greatly appreciate you guys. Couldn't have done it without you. Until the next video, and probably going to be going live tomorrow, this has been Ty, your Metalhead Weatherman. I will be almost certainly seeing you soon. Take care and have a good night.